Welcome to Canadian Innovators, the show that celebrates innovation, entrepreneurs, and the Canadian spirit. My name is Catherine Swift, and every week we introduce a new entrepreneur or an expert on the economy to tell their stories and address the challenges of keeping jobs in Canada and discuss potential solutions for job growth and prosperity. Today I'm going to be speaking with Gina Pappano. She's Executive Director of Invest Now, which is a not-for-profit organization devoted to promoting the value of the resource sector in Canada and the vital contribution that it makes to the Canadian economy and our standard of living. Prior to her work with Invest Now, Gina spent 15 years working at the Toronto Stock Exchange and subsequently founded Market Intel Works, Inc., a research and advisory firm. Welcome to the show, Gina.
Thank you, Catherine. It's great to be here.
Tell me something. I've known you for a couple of years now, but how long has Invest Now been in operation? And please tell us about the organization's primary objectives.
Yes, Invest Now has been in operation just shy of 2 years now, and our goal is to oppose the growing divestment movement in Canada. Divestment advocates, both domestic and international, have undermined Canada's resource sector, particularly oil and natural gas. They're calling for the complete disinvestment from any stocks that are oil and gas companies. So Invest Now advocates that divestment is wrong and that continued and increased investment in Canada's resource sectors will help Canada and the world.
Tell me, you mentioned oil and gas, which are an obvious target, but does the divestment apply to most of the resource sector? I mean, I find it kind of contradictory because we see divestment from some parts of the resource sector, and yet other parts of the resource sector are needed to make an awful lot of equipment like solar panels and batteries for electric vehicles. So, and that's mining as well. So is your mandate broader than just oil and gas?
Well, we've started with oil and gas because it's the most obvious target, but it will expand into mining, forestry, and agriculture, which are all being targeted in one way or another down the line. But really our focus is on oil and gas, which is the base for all these other sectors to survive as well.
Yeah, exactly. Oil and gas underlies everything else. And of course,
Yes.
One of the reasons our inflation is going so crazy these days is because of more and more costs and supply problems in the oil and gas sector.
Yes.
I don't think a lot of people are really aware of how entrenched this divestment movement has become and how it has the potential to affect all of our lives, if it's not already. Actually, it is already. And when did this movement begin? How long has it been around? And have you seen any slowing down in recent years, or is it still proceeding, pretty quickly?
Well, the divestment movement, it has very powerful financial and ideological support. It started about 10 years ago, just over 10 years ago, by the extremely well-funded and well-connected group 350.org. And they started out driving local campaigns, especially at universities across North America and Europe, to advocate for divestment. And it started in universities, but now it's moved on to governments, banks, and public pension funds. So really it's an overall movement. And really they've even stated it in press releases, they want to dismantle the fossil fuel industry. And that is their stated goal.
Yeah, which is, I wonder how Germany's feeling about that these days.
That's right.
Let's face it. We've seen some real politic hit some of these so-called climate goals. In terms of the so-called climate agenda, I guess. Part of the problem the business community has is there has been virtually no or minimal consultation with the business community. And an awful lot of measures have just been put in place. Governments usually do consult to some degree. Whether they listen is a whole other story. But what I've seen anyway from the business perspective is that there has been virtually no substantial, meaningful consultation. It's been just dictates. You're going to do this. You're going to do that kind of thing.